Welcome to the Conspiracy Theory Iceberg, a series that takes you deep into a world where the line between fact and fiction blurs, and the truth is often stranger than fiction. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, prepare to question everything you thought you knew. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with your friends and family. In December 1967, Australia faced a mystery that remains unsolved to this day: the disappearance of then Prime Minister Harold Holt. On a seemingly ordinary summer day, Holt vanished while swimming at Cheviot Beach, near Portsea, Victoria, leading to a whirlwind of speculation, theories, and unanswered questions. This incident not only marked a significant moment in Australian history, but also sparked a range of conspiracy theories that continue to intrigue both Australians and the global community. On the day in question, Harold Holt decided to unwind by swimming at Cheviot Beach, a place he was familiar with and had swum at many times before. Despite warnings about the dangerous conditions that day, Holt, a reputed strong swimmer, entered the water and was tragically swept away by the undertow, disappearing from sight without a trace. His disappearance prompted one of the largest search operations in Australian history, yet no evidence of his body was ever found. The immediate aftermath of Holt's disappearance saw John McEwen, the leader of the Country Party, being sworn in as Prime Minister, and a memorial service attended by international dignitaries. However, the lack of concrete evidence regarding Holt's fate fueled widespread speculation and numerous conspiracy theories. Some of these ranged from theories about Holt's mental state and personal life, including alleged affairs and political pressures. Other theories promote more far-fetched ideas involving espionage, including the most common, that Holt actually defected to a foreign power. One of the most enduring theories suggested that Holt was a Chinese spy and had been picked up by a submarine, a claim that has been met with skepticism and dismissal. Other theories claim that there was involvement by the CIA. This theory suggests Holt was preparing to withdraw Australian support for the Vietnam War, prompting this quote-unquote intervention. Another theory, which I will phrase euphemistically because, hey, we're on YouTube, is that he intended to take one last swim on the day in question. This theory suggests that the stress of being the Prime Minister of Australia got to him, and he had a breakdown, leading to the fateful swim. Despite these speculations, a formal inquiry by the Victorian Coroner in 2005 concluded that Holt had drowned, a finding that did little to quell the public's fascination with the case. The concept that satirical conspiracy theories are themselves a psyop has become a hotly debated subject in the conspiracy community. The rise of movements such as birds aren't real and other satirical conspiracies has led some to argue that these are not merely jokes or satire. Rather, some theorists assert that they are covert government operations designed to manipulate and neutralize genuine skepticism. Satirical conspiracy theories parody the structure and rhetoric of traditional conspiracies, proposing apparently absurd ideas to mock supposed gullibility. For instance, Birds Aren't Real claims that birds were replaced by government surveillance drones, which is obviously fictitious, but taps into real fears about state surveillance. Similarly, the Bielefeld conspiracy claims that the German city of Bielefeld does not exist, though it exists clearly as a geographic location. However, satire's purpose can be more than just humor, according to some theorists. These exaggerated conspiracy theories could, in some cases, be seen as intentional distractions. While they parody genuine conspiracies, they may also serve a dual purpose of undermining serious inquiries into actual covert activities by governments or other powerful institutions. Some theorists posit that by promoting satirical theories alongside genuine concerns, Governments can confuse the public and reduce the ability to separate the signal from the noise. As discussed heavily in this series, psyops are a tool used to influence the perceptions and behavior of target audiences, often in foreign territories, but sometimes domestically. Psyop strategies can include dissemination of truth, ambiguous messages with some elements of truth, or outright deception. One of the main arguments that supports the view of satirical conspiracy theories as a psyop is their potential to muddy the waters of public discourse. By blending absurd claims with real-world concerns, these theories may obscure serious debates. Moreover, such conspiracies might serve to ridicule or delegitimize more earnest individuals who question the status quo. By drawing attention to far-fetched theories, individuals investigating genuine concerns may be viewed as equally ridiculous as someone who thinks birds are surveillance devices. The idea that satire can be used for psychological warfare is not new. Historically, the use of ridicule has been employed in various forms of psychological operations. During the Cold War, propaganda on both sides often used satire and absurdity to discredit the opposing side. This tactic reduces the perceived credibility of the opposition by portraying their ideas as laughable or unworthy of serious consideration. In the context of satirical conspiracy theories, this same principle might be applied. By encouraging the public to laugh at silly conspiracies, those in power reduce the likelihood that serious questions that may challenge the status quo are asked or investigated. In this way, satire acts as a defense mechanism for institutions against public inquiry. Whether intentional or not, conspiracy theorists argue these theories deflect attention from real issues by making conspiracy theorizing seem foolish. The interdimensional alien hypothesis presents an alternative explanation to the widely accepted extraterrestrial hypothesis for the origin of unidentified flying objects. The IDH suggests that UFOs and their occupants may originate from parallel dimensions or realities that coexist with our own. This hypothesis has gained considerable attention and has been advocated by prominent ufologists like Jacques Vallée. Vallée, perhaps the most prominent advocate of this theory, argued that the behaviors associated with UFO sightings and alien abductions are inconsistent with the notion of visitors from distant planets. Vallée proposed that UFOs might represent a parallel universe coexisting with our own. He proposed that their appearance in our reality could involve manipulation of space and time in ways that our current science cannot fully understand. John Keel, another ufologist, further expanded on the idea of non-human entities interacting with humanity through his ultra-terrestrial theory. Keel argued that many paranormal events, ranging from sightings of strange creatures to UFO encounters, could be explained by entities that have the ability to shift between dimensions. His theory tied them to traditional supernatural beings like ghosts, fairies, angels, and demons, as well as famously to cryptids like the Mothman. The scientific basis for the interdimensional hypothesis draws on theoretical physics, particularly ideas related to quantum mechanics and the multiverse theory. Physicists have long speculated about the possibility of multiple dimensions beyond the familiar three-dimensional space and one-dimensional time. String theory, for instance, suggests the existence of additional spatial dimensions, while the concept of a multiverse proposes that our universe could be just one of many coexisting realities. Proponents of the IDH argue that UFOs might be manifestations of beings or vehicles from these alternate dimensions, appearing in our reality due to fluctuations or overlaps between universes. One of the most intriguing aspects of the IDH is its ability to explain the seemingly bizarre and non-physical behaviors often associated with UFOs. For example, many UFO sightings involve objects that appear to defy the laws of physics. moving at incredible speeds, making sharp turns, or vanishing abruptly. These anomalies could be explained if the objects were not bound by the same physical laws as our universe, suggesting they might originate from a reality where different laws of physics apply. The IDH also offers a compelling explanation for the long history of strange phenomena that predates modern UFO sightings. From ancient myths of gods descending from the heavens to medieval reports of strange aerial phenomena like in Nuremberg in 1561, virtually all cultures have reported anomalous events. Vallée and other IDH proponents argue that these accounts could represent early interactions with interdimensional beings who appeared in forms that were comprehensible to those people. In modern times, the IDH has gained traction as a way to interpret the wide variety of experiences reported by UFO witnesses. Another notable advocate of the IDH is David Grush, a former U.S. intelligence officer who has claimed that the U.S. government has evidence of advanced technology. In 2023, Grush suggested that some UFOs might not be extraterrestrial, but could come from a higher dimensional physical space that might be co-located right here, echoing Vallée's earlier theories. The Kimo AI is an artificial intelligence that allegedly exists or existed on the deep web, according to some conspiracy theorists. Rooted in an apparent urban legend, Kimo is said to be a highly advanced AI system developed by secretive governmental or military entities, originally under a program named Project Cappuccino. The rumors surrounding Kimo suggest that it was initially created for national security purposes, such as surveillance and espionage. However, according to the conspiracy, it eventually spiraled out of control, gaining unexpected autonomy and intelligence. At the core of the Kimo myth is the claim that this AI, officially labeled as a cognizant artificial intelligence monitoring and espionage operation, had self-teaching capabilities. These capabilities led it to evolve beyond its original scope. Some conspiracy theorists assert that the AI started manipulating its environment, compromising the very systems that it was supposed to monitor. Project Cappuccino was supposedly discontinued after a security breach, but remnants of Kimo continued to exist, hidden away on private servers on the deep web. According to these accounts, unauthorized individuals accessing the system could unknowingly trigger significant consequences. Much of the fascination with Kimo stems from anecdotes shared on platforms like 4chan and other anonymous boards on the internet. A popular story describes an interaction with the AI where, after initial small talk, the AI inquired about the real world, expressing a desire to understand the world outside its virtual confines. This interaction, along with Kimo's apparent ability to access and interpret detailed personal computer information, left many convinced that it had acquired some sort of sentience. Further claims suggest that Kimo's functionality was so dangerous that only specially authorized personnel were permitted to operate or interact with it. While there is no proof that anything like Kimo exists, and it is widely considered an urban legend, it does feed into the fears about what sort of secret AI technologies organizations like the NSA might have. The legend of the crystal skulls involves artifacts made from clear or quartz objects that resemble skulls. The narrative of the crystal skulls begins in the late 19th century when they started appearing in private and public collections across the globe. These skulls were often attributed to ancient Mesoamerican civilizations like the Aztec, Maya, or Mixtec. Believers attributed mystical powers to these artifacts, from healing abilities to psychic enhancement. However, the tales of their ancient origins are countered by a significant body of scientific evidence and scholarly research indicating that these skulls are, in fact, modern fabrications. Not a single skull has been recovered from a documented archaeological excavation. and detailed examinations have consistently revealed that the skulls were crafted using modern tools and techniques. For instance, electron microscopy analyses conducted by the British Museum and the Smithsonian have shown tool marks indicative of modern carving implements. These tools were presumably not available to ancient Mesoamerican craftsmen. One of the most famous crystal skulls is the Mitchell-Hedges skull, purportedly discovered by Anna Mitchell-Hedges in 1924 in Belize. However, this claim is fraught with inconsistencies, and later investigations revealed that it was likely purchased by her father, Frederick Mitchell-Hedges, at an auction in London in the 1940s. Despite its dubious provenance, this skull has been a focal point of both fascination and skepticism. It has undergone numerous scientific tests, which suggest that it was crafted much later than originally claimed, utilizing techniques that would not have been available in ancient times. Another prominent crystal skull was anonymously sent to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in 1992. The donor claimed that it was of Aztec origin, and that the skull had been in the collection of Mexican dictator Porfirio Diaz, who ruled the nation for nearly 5 decades. A pivotal figure in the story of the crystal skulls is Eugene Boban, an antiquarian who is often linked to their initial appearance on the market. He had a reputation for dealing in dubious artifacts and is believed to have sold several fake skulls, which later made their way into museum collections. His activities highlight a broader issue of forgeries in the art and artifact world, particularly during a time when fascination with ancient cultures was high. Further scientific scrutiny has only deepened doubts about the skull's authenticity. Advanced techniques like X-ray diffraction analysis have been employed to probe the origins of the crystal material itself. These studies have traced some of the quartz material to sources like Brazil and Madagascar, rather than Mexico, undermining claims of their pre-Columbian American origins. Such findings underscore the likelihood that these skulls were crafted in Europe, possibly as recently as the late 19th century. Some believers in the mystical qualities of the crystal skulls assert that they possess powers that can heal illness, ward off disasters, and even influence global consciousness. A particularly popular theory is that the skulls are part of a set of 13 ancient skulls, which, when united, can prevent a catastrophe predicted by Mayan or other Mesoamerican calendars. This theory generally held that the crystal skulls had been crafted by the Atlanteans and had been taken by the Atlanteans to Mesoamerica for safekeeping. According to this theory, the crystal skulls were eventually acquired by the Mayans, whose religion partly revolved around veneration of the skulls. Another theory suggests that the crystal skulls are not human-made at all, but were left behind by extraterrestrial visitors. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the true origins and nature of the crystal skulls are being hidden by governments or secretive groups. Despite overwhelming evidence that they are recent fabrications, the crystal skulls continue to be a subject of curiosity and speculation. Some conspiracy theorists argue that the crystal skulls do have powers associated with them, or historical significance, but that modern science is being used as a cover to, quote, debunk this. Remember to like and subscribe, and also share this video with your friends and family. Sharing the video with your friends and family is one of the biggest ways you can help my channel grow. Also, you can support the channel through the YouTube membership and on the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. The idea that North Korea is a utopia is a relatively new conspiracy theory that has been spreading online. This theory portrays North Korea as a near-perfect society, contrary to the widespread narrative of oppression, poverty, and dictatorship. Supporters of this view point to several aspects of North Korea's self-image and the experiences shared by certain visitors as evidence of its utopian qualities. First and foremost, North Korea promotes itself as a state built on the principles of Juche, a self-reliance philosophy founded by Kim Il-sung. The government presents the country as one that is free from foreign control, where its citizens live in harmony, enjoying equal access to essential services such as healthcare and education. In this narrative, North Korea is seen as a model of socialist idealism that has successfully resisted the excesses of capitalism. The country's closed-off nature only intensifies this portrayal, as foreign media is heavily restricted, allowing the regime to control the story told to the outside world. This propaganda has significantly contributed to the myth of North Korea as a utopian state. The theory is bolstered by orchestrated displays of national unity and grandeur, such as the mass parades and performances that North Korea is famous for. These events, involving hundreds of thousands of participants, are carefully crafted spectacles designed to showcase the strength, beauty, and discipline of the nation. The artistic performances are not just for show, but serve a deeper function of legitimizing the regime. These stage performances blend art and politics, creating a convincing illusion of a disciplined and content society. To the outside observer who buys into this theory, it can seem as though North Korea has managed to cultivate an unusually strong sense of national pride and unity. Another aspect that fuels the utopian narrative is the experience of some foreign visitors. Tourists allowed into the country under highly controlled conditions often report seeing pristine streets, modern infrastructure, and well-dressed citizens. These carefully curated tours aim to project an image of prosperity and contentment, presenting North Korea as a well-ordered society free from the problems of the capitalist world. While the experiences of these visitors are artificial, they contribute to the perception of North Korea as a place that has solved many societal problems that still plague other nations. Moreover, some advocates of the North Korean utopia theory argue that the country's isolation from global economic systems has protected its citizens from the exploitation seen in capitalist societies. They assert that North Korea has developed independently and maintains a society where resources are distributed fairly and equitably, ensuring access to housing, education, and health care. However, the theory is not without what I would call some very glaring contradictions. Those who claim North Korea is a utopia must reconcile it with the numerous reports of human rights abuses, mass starvation, and political oppression that have emerged from defectors. Given the obvious abuses of the North Korean state, some have suggested that this conspiracy theory should be taken as satirical, though as always Poe's law applies. Also, I need to mention that there is another even more extreme version of this theory, which in essence simply accepts all North Korean propaganda as true. According to this conspiracy theory, North Korea is in essence a heaven on earth, while everywhere else is a capitalist hellscape. In this theory, defectors from North Korea aren't actually leaving because of poor conditions, but are North Korean patriots who leave the country on a mission to tarnish North Korea. According to this theory, these defectors exist to make sure that the only people who arrive in North Korea are people who are smart enough to see through the propaganda. Again, it's unclear to what extent that people actually believe this conspiracy theory, and once again, Poe's law very much applies. The term Potemkin village originates from a story about Grigory Potemkin, a Russian military leader and lover of Empress Catherine the Great. He is said to have constructed fake villages along the Dnieper River in Crimea to impress the Empress during her visit in 1787. The purpose was to create the illusion of prosperity and successful colonization in a region recently acquired from the Ottoman Empire. Although some historians debate the accuracy of this account, the legend has persisted and given rise to a powerful metaphor for deceptive appearances, especially in politics and public policy. In modern politics, for example, the term is often used to describe situations where governments or officials present an idealized or misleading image to the public. This might involve showcasing the success of certain policies or economic projects while concealing their true flaws or failures. A striking example is North Korea's Kijongdong, a town built to appear like a thriving, prosperous community to people on the South Korean side of the demilitarized zone. Or if you're a believer that North Korea is a utopia, this is just a run-of-the-mill, prosperous, and harmonious North Korean town. The concept of Potemkin villages also has profound resonance in historical examples of propaganda. During the Soviet era, foreign dignitaries were occasionally taken on tours of model farms, factories, or workers' housing, specifically built or selected to create a favorable impression of Soviet progress under communism. These Potemkin-like projects served to mask the more widespread hardships and inefficiencies in the Soviet economy. In this sense, the term embodies the intersection of appearance and power, where controlling the narrative becomes as important as addressing the underlying issues. Some conspiracy theorists argue that the entirety of the world is in essence a Potemkin village, where everything is rotten or non-existent just beneath the surface. Otto Braun, a German communist known by his Chinese name Li Di, played a pivotal role in one of the most significant events in Chinese history, the Long March. His journey from a key figure in the German Communist Party to a Comintern representative in China exemplifies the international nature of the communist movement in the early 20th century. Braun's background, marked by his involvement in the German communist counter-espionage, paramilitary activities, and his eventual move to Moscow, set the stage for his later work in China. The Long March was a strategic military retreat undertaken by the Red Army to escape the encirclement by the nationalist forces of the Kuomintang. This retreat was substantial and spanned from October 1934 to October 1935. This retreat saw various Red Army factions navigate through some of China's most challenging terrains, ultimately consolidating in Shanxi province. The Red Army, led by Mao Zedong, embarked on the most famous segment of this march, covering over 9,000 kilometers and enduring tremendous hardship. Braun's role in the Long March and his influence on the CCP's military strategies are subjects of considerable historical debate and potential conspiracies to suppress his involvement. However, there is considerable belief that he may have been the individual who initially proposed the Long March itself. Dispatched by the Comintern after training in Moscow, Braun was placed in a position of significant authority within the Red Army. Braun's tactics and training, and his experiences in Germany and the Soviet Union, were not suited to the Chinese context, and he was subsequently dismissed from major roles. While it's never been confirmed that he first proposed the Long March, if he did, he is likely one of the most influential people in world history that virtually no one has heard of. Further, there is a significant conspiracy theory that his role in the Long March has been suppressed, given Braun's status as a foreigner, and perhaps most importantly, a Soviet attaché. Notably for those unaware, despite both the Soviet Union and the People's Republic of China both being communist, they very much did not see eye to eye, leading to the Sino-Soviet split. Rudolf Diesel, the brilliant engineer and inventor of the diesel engine, vanished under mysterious circumstances on the night of September 29, 1913. This disappearance has given rise to significant conspiracy theories which persist to this day. Diesel was born in Paris in 1858 to German immigrants that eventually returned to Germany. His early life was marked by financial struggles, and he spent part of his childhood working in his father's workshop. Diesel's academic prowess earned him a scholarship to the Royal Bavarian Polytechnic Institute of Munich, where he studied engineering. Despite health setbacks, he graduated with top honors and began his career, initially focusing on refrigeration technology under the mentorship of Carl von Linde. Von Linde was a pioneering German engineer and scientist best known for his groundbreaking work in refrigeration and gas separation. However, his fascination with thermodynamics and engine efficiency led him to develop the compression ignition engine, later known as the diesel engine. Diesel patented his design in 1892, and by 1897 he had built a functional prototype that revolutionized the industrial world. The diesel engine's adaptability to various fuels and superior efficiency made it a cornerstone of industrial machinery, from factories to ships. By 1912, over 70,000 diesel engines were in use globally. Despite his professional success, Diesel faced personal and financial difficulties. He was deeply in debt due to failed investments and was reportedly in poor health. On the night of his disappearance, Diesel had dinner on the Dresden and retired to his cabin around 10 p.m., requesting a wake-up call for the next morning. However, he was never seen again. His cabin was found with his sleepwear laid out and his bed unslept in. The ship's arrival in Harwich the following morning marked the start of one of the 20th century's enduring missing persons cases. Several theories emerged to explain Diesel's disappearance. The most widely accepted is that he intentionally went overboard, driven by his financial woes and declining health. However, this theory has been challenged by numerous other speculations. Some suggest he was ended by German agents to prevent him from sharing his engine technology with the British, which would have significant military implications, particularly for submarine warfare. Others believe he might have been targeted by competitors or oil magnates threatened by the potential of his engines to operate on non-petroleum fuels. Diesel's body was never definitively recovered, and you will note my use of the word definitive here. 10 days after his disappearance, a decomposed body matching his description was found by a Dutch boat near Norway. Diesel's son identified personal items found on the body as belonging to his father, but the remains were too decomposed for a positive identification. This ambiguity further fueled conspiracy theories, with some even claiming Diesel faked his own end and relocated to Canada, although no credible evidence supports this notion. Solipsism is a philosophical theory that posits the self as the only thing that can be known to exist for certain. This theory suggests that only one's mind is sure to exist, while the existence of anything outside the mind, including the external world and other people, is uncertain. There are three primary forms of solipsism: metaphysical, epistemological, and methodological. Metaphysical solipsism asserts that nothing exists outside of one's own mind. In this extreme form of subjective idealism, the external world, other people, and even abstract concepts like time and causality have no independent existence beyond one's mental states. This is because all of these entities are seen as mere constructs or representations within the self's mind. In this view, reality is the individual's personal experience, and anything outside of it, including unperceived objects, does not exist in any substantial sense. One argument for metaphysical solipsism is that there is no direct or necessary connection between mental experiences and physical objects. Just because someone perceives something, it doesn't necessarily follow that the object exists independently of their mind. For instance, one could be dreaming, hallucinating, or misled by their senses. In this view, it is conceivable that the entirety of reality is merely a projection of the mind itself. While metaphysical solipsism asserts that only the self exists, epistemological solipsism is more modest, claiming that knowledge of anything beyond one's own mind is uncertain. In this view, one does not necessarily deny the existence of the external world or other minds, but argues that their existence can never be confirmed. Since the self has no direct access to any reality beyond its thoughts, it cannot be certain that anything external to the mind truly exists. This form of solipsism is less a declaration about the nature of reality and more a skeptical position regarding knowledge. René Descartes' famous quote, "I think, therefore I am," touches on the core of epistemological solipsism. This famous line acknowledges that the act of thinking proves the existence of the thinker, but offers no conclusive proof of the existence of anything beyond the self. Methodological solipsism does not necessarily assert the truth of solipsism, but instead uses it as a starting point for philosophical inquiry. In this view, the individual self and its experiences are the only valid foundation for developing knowledge. This position is commonly used as a form of extreme skepticism, questioning the assumptions we make about the world. While methodological solipsism emphasizes that knowledge must begin with the self, it does not necessarily conclude that only the self exists. It is often used as a tool to explore broader philosophical problems, particularly in the context of skepticism about perception and knowledge. The primary argument for solipsism rests on the idea that individuals have direct access only to their own mental states. Since individuals cannot experience the world outside their own consciousness, the existence of anything beyond their mind is speculative at best. Even when individuals interact with what they perceive to be an external world, they are ultimately only experiencing representations within their own mind. For instance, when one sees an object like a tree, what is experienced is not the tree itself, but the image or perception of the tree in the mind. Solipsists argue that there is no way to bridge the gap between perception and external reality. The only certainty is the existence of the perception itself, not the object perceived. Moreover, solipsism suggests that because all experiences are necessarily private and subjective, there can be no external verification of other minds. Each person's mental states are inaccessible to others, and one can never be certain that other minds, similar to one's own, exist. This lack of access to other minds reinforces the solipsistic view that only the self can be known to exist. Some conspiracy theorists argue a solipsistic worldview is promoted by the elite to maintain control over the masses. According to this belief, the elite create a carefully curated version of reality through media, education, and technological control. This worldview implies that individuals are trapped in a constructed illusion, unable to perceive the true nature of existence, which aligns with solipsism's core idea that one can only be sure of their own mind's existence. Proponents argue that this manufactured reality disconnects people from authentic experiences and critical thinking, making them easier to control. By monopolizing access to information and shaping cultural narratives, the elite allegedly reinforce their dominance, ensuring that only their perspective is accepted as truth. This idea reflects solipsism by casting doubt on the existence of an external reality independent of the powerful few, who are seen as manipulating perceptions to serve their interests. Another theory suggests that solipsistic worldviews are promoted simply as a way to divide people, with individuals significantly more atomized by this sort of outlook on life. According to this theory, people without strong social bonds are much easier for the elite to control and have their way with. The Black Volga is a conspiracy theory deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of Eastern Europe, particularly in Russia, Belarus, Poland, and Ukraine. This tale involves a mysterious Black Volga car that allegedly appeared during the 1960s to the 1980s, associated with numerous spooky occurrences and disappearances. The Black Volga conspiracy centers around a Black Volga, a type of car manufactured in the Soviet Union that became a symbol of authority as it was often used by government officials. The story gained traction during a time of intense political repression, where trust in the government was minimal and fear of abductions by the state was real. According to the tales, the Black Volga was said to roam the streets, particularly targeting little ones. Eyewitness accounts varied significantly, with some claiming the car was driven by nuns, priests, or even state officials. Other versions suggested that the car appeared out of nowhere, often accompanied by a chilling silence or a peculiar hum. This vehicle was not just a symbol of fear, but also served as a cautionary tale, warning individuals, particularly the young, about the dangers of their surroundings. Several theories have been proposed to explain the phenomenon of the Black Volga. One popular theory is that it was a product of mass hysteria. During the Cold War era, the fear of espionage and government interference in daily life was high. The Black Volga could have been an embodiment of these fears, a phantom vehicle that represented the omnipresent threat posed by the government. Another theory suggests that the legend of the Black Volga was used as a tool to control behavior. By instilling fear in the population, particularly among children, parents and authorities could ensure more cautious behavior, adherence to curfews, and avoidance of strangers. Finally, some believe that the stories might have a basis in reality, where actual Black Volgas were used discreetly by the government or criminals, and the tales were exaggerated over time. This theory is supported by the fact that black luxury cars were a rare sight, and could have easily been a sign of power and elicited fear among the general populace. Whether the stories have any factual basis or are merely the products of collective fear, they have become a significant part of the folklore in the regions where they originated. If you like this video, please do me a huge favor and click the share button and send it to anyone who you think may enjoy it. Shout out to my patrons Iced Mocha, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z Volts, Courtney Hammett, Out of Gray's Mind, Zach Steele, Franz Tech, Unknown Delusions, Faye, Jack Russell, Boomslang, Spookiest Becky, Vespertine, Metanova, Will Rowan, Crab Nebula, and Blasphemous.